What's up, guys? This is Jensen and welcome to another video. So even though the NBA season is currently postponed, that can't really stop us from talking about 2020 NBA free agency. And even though it's a dry market, Anthony Davis is by far the biggest free agent on the market. And even though it seems like he's going to return to the Lakers, which I certainly am not saying it's going to be a bad move by any stretch of the imagination, it's definitely a safe move, I'd say. But it might not be the right move for Anthony Davis, because when we're talking about the Los Angeles Lakers, the brand that is the Los Angeles Lakers, 16 titles. Let's say Anthony Davis, he wins one title with LeBron, and he wins one title by himself with the Lakers. With any other organization almost, that would be a big-time achievement. But with the Lakers, you're still going to be overshadowed by Kobe. You're going to be overshadowed by Shaq, Magic. I mean, there are too many stars on the Los Angeles Lakers where if you're Anthony Davis and your goal is to be one of the best players to ever play the game, you're going to be overshadowed in Los Angeles, and it might ultimately affect his legacy. And even though it'd be a safe move, it'd be a fine move in my opinion if he did it with the Los Angeles Lakers. If he truly wants to be remembered as one of the greatest players to ever play the game, I would say that he shouldn't do it in a place where they've won 16 championships. Go to a place where they haven't won in 50 years, the biggest city in the United States of America. Win it there. Win it with the New York Knicks. That could absolutely make your legacy. Ask LeBron when he won the championship with Cleveland. Ask Kawhi after he won a championship with Toronto. Even Steph Curry when he won the championship with Golden State the first time in 40 years. When you win a championship with a franchise that has never won or hasn't won in a very long time, there's nothing that can really seal your legacy other than that. That's the greatest achievement you could put on your resume, in my opinion, when we're talking about greatest of all time, Hall of Fame. That's the greatest thing you can do. That's why when we're talking about LeBron James, in my opinion, his title with the Cleveland Cavaliers, that has more value than the 2 championships he won in Miami, because how special it was. First time in Cleveland Cavaliers history they win the championship. That's special. When we're talking about Kawhi, the championship he won in Toronto, that's going to define his legacy. If you're Anthony Davis, you have a chance to define your legacy. You're a top 5 player. You can change the New York Knicks, in my opinion, because I've always had this feeling about the New York Knicks. As annoying as James Dolan is, if they finally started to win, if they got a franchise player, they started to win games, they made playoff appearances, they started to build something that was functional, that finally showed them as a stable organization, this Dolan stuff would go to the side. The Knicks could actually become a relevant organization. All they need is superstar players. If you can get a guy like Anthony Davis, that could absolutely change the way we think about the New York Knicks. Although, if I'm Anthony Davis, I do it on one condition. I think if I'm Anthony Davis, I want to choose who the head coach and GM is, or at least I have a say in who it is, because the New York Knicks have proven that they are incompetent in pairing a head coach and GM pairing that can last. And we look around the NBA, it's very important to have a good head coach GM pairing, which the Knicks currently don't really have. I mean, the jury's still on Leon Rose as GM, and head coach, obviously, they fired David Fizdale. There's a lot of uncertainty there. So if I'm Anthony Davis, I want that control. But here's the thing about Anthony Davis. This is a no-risk situation. You can sign a 2+1 deal with the player option at the end of the second year. Give the Knicks 2 years. If they can't get you a franchise player, then you can leave for somewhere else. But I would love to see Anthony Davis challenge himself by going to the Knicks, especially when we see players like Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving. You see these players who they kind of don't choose the Knicks in part because they're kind of scared of failure, in my opinion, because the Knicks have been so unstable, because they don't really think they alone can change a franchise. I would love to see if Anthony Davis could see if he can change a franchise. This will immediately help his branding, in my opinion. This dude doesn't have a signature contract and needs a top 5 player. It blows my mind, but I think if he goes to the Knicks, he would easily get his own signature shoe, in my opinion. He'd really be able to boost his brand. Obviously, with a guy like Davis in media might be a concern, but that's where having this experience with LeBron, seeing how LeBron handles the LA media, that's going to really help Anthony Davis. And when we're looking at this New York Knicks roster, it's not an empty cupboard like many suggest. When we're looking at a guy like Mitchell Robinson, this dude is going to be a defensive anchor for the next decade plus, in my opinion. He's an excellent rebounder. He's really underrated as a player. And if you're Anthony Davis, you plus Mitchell Robinson compare maybe the most scary defensive front court in the NBA almost immediately. I think that would be a seamless pairing. We know Anthony Davis likes to play the power forward, and with Mitchell Robinson playing center, that would be a possibility. Talking about a guy like RJ Barrett, even though I don't think he could be a top 5 player per se, I think that he's a really interesting player. Even without a jump shot, I think he could be the second coming of DeMar DeRozan. But if he ever finds his jump shot, all of a sudden that's a really, really interesting player. So you got a dude who has all-star potential. You have a dude who's going to be a defensive anchor. I'm still not willing to give up on Kevin Knox because coming out of college, many compared him to a Jason Tatum without the footwork. And he's still a young dude. Maybe he can figure it out after a couple of years. Some dudes are, late bloomers. So I really feel like the jury's still out on Kevin Knox. So when we're looking at that, plus you have to keep in mind that they're going to have a high lottery pick, maybe even the number 1 overall pick. There's a ton of assets there. So if you're Anthony Davis, either you can deal those assets right off the bat for a guy like Karl-Anthony Towns per se, if he demands a trade out of Minnesota. We can even say Bradley Beal if the basketball that we're seeing in the nation's capital doesn't improve almost immediately. We can see guys that could get dealt to New York almost immediately because the Knicks have that type of assets in right now. Or you can ride it out with RJ Barrett, Mitchell Robinson, number 1 overall pick. Let's just say it's LaMelo Ball. That would be a nice fit because LaMelo is a nice passer. That would pair well with Anthony Davis. I really feel like if they wrote it out with some of the young guys plus Anthony Davis, you would make the playoffs. It's the Eastern Conference. You really think Orlando's going to be better than the Knicks with Davis? So you would be able to make the playoffs. It's low expectations. No one's going to expect him to do much other than make the playoffs. So if you're Anthony Davis, you're able to make the playoffs. You're able to exceed everyone's expectations possibly. This could be a team that could certainly upset a team in the first round. They could even push for home court in my opinion. Although with the young guys, you never know, but it could definitely be a possibility in the Eastern Conference. And then in the offseason, you could maybe sign someone. If you're Giannis and Milwaukee hasn't won a championship yet, wouldn't it be tempting to join AD and Mitchell Robinson to form maybe the greatest defensive front court in NBA history? It would be tempting. There are guys like Kawhi, PG, if they want a new challenge, in my opinion, the Knicks could be an option. There's a stacked free agency class in 2021. Someone will come to New York if Anthony Davis goes there. The recruiting pitch is too great. Join AD, a top 5 player in New York, the biggest city in the United States of America, to potentially be a contender to win an NBA Finals. Somebody will bite the bullet via either trade or free agency. So if you're Anthony Davis, that shouldn't be a concern. Then it's just filling in the role players, which is not nearly as hard as getting the star players. Normally it's getting the star players that's tough. After that, you surround them with shooters, obviously, guys who can defend. But the hard part is getting the stars. But I think that the Knicks with AD would have a really good pitch. I think that if you're Anthony Davis, going to the Lakers would be the safe move. But if you want to be great, go to the New York Knicks and do it where it's never been done before. I don't think he'd do it, but I'd really applaud him if he did, because that would be something very bold. I'd love to see it. But I mean, we'll see how it goes. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Please like and subscribe. I'll be providing more NBA and NFL hot takes as the season goes on. Have a good day. Remember to follow me on Twitter, Jensen Sports. See y'all later.